In this next tutorial video, we're going to complete our bivariate analysis with one categorical and one quantitative variable by creating side-by-side box plots. Now, after we're finished with this, you need to make sure that you go look at that interpretation practice slide so you have a good idea of how to interpret all of these things when you need to do that for your homework. So there's a fully worked example for you so you can, try to grasp what it is that you're trying to do with that interpretation and what information you should be gaining from this analysis. So I'm going to go back to the one categorical, one quantitative bivariate exploration with borough and sale price. So in order to do this next piece, you also have to have the data reformatted. So if you haven't made it this far, you need to make sure that you go back and watch that first tutorial video and that you're doing these things in order because there is an order to the operation. Okay, so for our side-by-side box plots, we're going to select those newly reformatted columns. So E through J. And then we're going to come up to our insert tool ribbon here and come to our charts panel, the same place where we created histograms and box plots before. And we're going to select that same box and whisker tool from the list. Now, by default, these will show up in order. I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger so we can get a better view of it. So these box plots are in the same order as you see them up here in the table. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add some elements to this chart. We need axis titles, we need a legend, and we need to have a nice descriptive title and some formatting so that it's very easy to read. So if you have this little green plus sign, you can add your chart elements directly from that feature right there. If you if you don't have this little green plus sign over here, then you can use this add chart elements drop down that's on the chart design tool ribbon. So specifically, we want to add our axis titles, so primary horizontal, primary vertical. Okay, now we see those axis titles appear. The other thing that we want to do is we want to add a legend. So I generally like to add it to the bottom because it will show up in the same order as the categories and just be a nice quick reference. So let's remove this one here and see Brookdale lines up with Brookdale, Brookside, Crawford, North Ames, all that kind of stuff. Now you can, if you do have a misspelling, like it looks like here, we can update that there and it will also update it in the chart. So these things are dynamically linked. You can alter them that way. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is title our axes. This is going to be borough. Oh, goodness. And this right here is the sale price. Now, anytime I have a quantitative variable, I do like to add the units in parentheses after the name. So we'll put that this is in US dollars. Okay, next thing, we want to give it a nice descriptive title. These are side by side box plots of sale price by borough. And then we'll always put the sample size in these titles as well. Okay, so starting to look better. Ooh, I need to fix that part. Okay. You could say side-by-side box plot distributions or side-by-side distribution of sale price by borough. Whatever it is, just make sure that it is accurately depicting what's represented in the visualization. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is add a little bit more formatting. So you don't have to do this, however you want to format your graphs is okay, as long as they're nice and neat and easy to read. That's really the primary concern. So you can go through and, call attention to certain parts of your chart. The one thing that I do want to make sure that everybody does is format the sale price axis as currency. So if you double click on this axis over here, you should get your format axis panel that pops up. So you'll need to click right on the axis, and then you can adjust different parts of it. So the range is fine. We'll click this number drop down, and we're going to change this from general to currency. So if you're on a Mac, it probably says linked to source. You're going to select currency, and then you'll reduce the decimal places to 0. So now our y-axis is nice and neatly formatted in hundreds of thousands of dollars, just like the prices are represented in the raw data. So it's just that other layer that makes this easy to read. You do have some other ways that you can control the formatting of this chart. If you want there to be more width between the boxes, you can click on those and adjust the width of the box, or reduce it to widen them out, whatever you feel is best. Maybe you want to widen these all the way so that they're kind of really filling out the space, and you can see each one really well. Other thing I might do is just drag this resizer down. We really like for our plotting spaces to be more square, so this interior part of our charts to be square. This is nice, neatly formatted side-by-side box plots, and now we can see how each of these neighborhoods stack up. It's really easy to see now that this Northridge neighborhood does on average sell for higher price than any of the other neighborhoods. The next one would be the Somerset neighborhood, then Crawford, then North Ames, Brookside, and Brookdale. So we can see these differences very easily when we're looking at it in picture form. Other thing that we might notice is the range of prices is pretty small for Brookdale. That could be because there's not a lot of observations. There's only 21 houses there. But the range and the variability for Northridge seems to be much more widespread. So there's some really expensive houses. There's also some cheaper houses. So things that we want to be mindful of when we do this interpretation and as we choose the best decision for the next part of the analysis. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this now for the overall quality variable. We're going to go to one cat, one quant, okay, lab 2, and again we need to make sure we have our data reformatted. Okay, I'm going to select these variables right here. Okay, I'm going to go to my insert ribbon and again select that box and whisker tool. Okay, very important for these ordinal variables that they are in order. You'll notice that these categories are in order. It's going to be really important for you to do that for your homework, because what we're hopefully or likely going to see is that there is some meaning to this order, and there's a relationship that exists through the order that we wouldn't be able to see if we didn't display them that way. So let's first make this graph a little bigger so we can really see it. We'll start adding in our chart elements. I'm going to do it from the plus sign this time. We'll add axis titles. We'll add a legend. Oh, I want my legend to be down at the bottom though. That's a bit better. Or even for this one, it might be good to have it on the right side because it's, in order and it doesn't exactly line up at the bottom. So if we put it on the right, we can see them straight down through that order. Okay, after this, we'll move this right here. Okay, this is going to be overall quality. This is going to be sale price. Okay, maybe we'll kind of do that same type of formatting that we did for the first one to help this really stand out. We'll format these as dollars or currency, rounded to 0 decimal places. Okay, we can bold these, help them stand out. Okay, give it a nice descriptive title. Side by side box plots of sale price by, oh goodness, overall quality Always put that sample size there when it's not prominently displayed anywhere else. Okay. Might want to bold that title. If you want to make it bigger, you can. Might want to decrease that gap width so we can spread these out more in the space. Really fill out that plotting space, help it stand out a little bit more. Okay, we'll go it until, okay. Now we can compare these side by side. So the immediate thing that I notice is that, you know, through these ordered categories, it appears that the average prices are increasing, you know, on average. Some of these categories that have a low frequency have a really tight range of values, which makes sense. But hopefully what we're going to get away from this picture is that there is some significance to the order of these variables and how it's related to sale price. What we're seeing here is that as we increase the overall quality of the house, on average, the sale price also increases. So when we can make this sort of assessment, and we'll test to see the significance of it after the midterm, then we can use this variable in our final model to predict what the most likely sale price would be based on the quality of the home and the neighborhood that it's in and all of those sorts of things. So this is a final formatting of your side-by-side box plots. And again, make sure that you are doing that interpretation practice where you really go through the motions of trying to understand what each of these tables and visualizations are communicating about the data.